Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Teal Town, USA. This is Erik Kuhre with you, and I'm pleased to be joined by Mr. Randy Hahn, Sharks play-by-play voice. I guess we can also say Foghorns play-by-play voice from the Inside Out movies.
Yeah.
It's become a tradition. It's like the Masters, a tradition like any other to catch up with you. How was your summer? How was
What?
everything?
I should have worn my green jacket then. My summer was good. My wife and I decided to spend the majority of it right at home in beautiful Gilroy, California, which, by the way, is the garlic capital of the world. And it was wonderful. It was fun being around home for most of the summer. A couple of quick trips for a wedding to Cabo, up to Canada to see family, and then a trip to Europe with my sons to go to Oktoberfest. But other than that, was firmly entrenched, enjoying beautiful Northern California for most of the summer. How about
Eh,
you?
it was a nice summer, job change, but obviously with the fancy background I have here, this ain't my home. But do
It is
it's
very fancy. That's
yes,
that.
thank you.
That's that. Is that a Monet?
Um, it doesn't have a signature on the bottom, but it
All
does
right.
look very Monet-like. So,
You know, with the Monet, the closer you get, the worse it looks. So
oh yes, but this is a very nice painting,
it
indeed.
is. It's beautiful.
All right. Well, let's talk about the atmosphere on Thursday night, season debut, home opener. You got the whole crowd was fired up last night, and I know you were at the tank. I was quite jealous that you ran into Arthur's Urbe.
Yes.
I thought, oh, good face from back in the day. But your overall take from last night?
Well, perhaps fitting that on the night when a new star was ushered into uh, Sharks territory in Macklin Celebrini, I bumped into a guy who I think really was the original first star in the history of this franchise, Artur Zerbe, and kind of helped propel the franchise to new heights in that first year in San Jose. So it was appropriate to see him on Macklin's debut night, but. Yeah, it was fun. Number one, unfortunate that we weren't able to broadcast game one, but that's the way it works in the world of pro sports and network television, and they have the rights to take certain games. So ESPN exercised that right, and so be it. But the flip side of that is I got to sit in the stands with my wife and just kind of soak it in. And you could tell even before the game during warm up that there was a different buzz. Fans along the glass were cheering every time Celebrini and Smith skated by, never mind putting the puck in the net when they did during warmup. So you could tell there was just a different buzz in the building, something that we haven't felt here. Uh, I'm gonna maintain, and I haven't felt this kind of atmosphere around the team since we got Joe Thornton.
Yeah.
Because you could feel like when Joe came, things were going to change, and boy, did they ever! And stayed at a high level for a long time. So that's sort of the way it felt on Thursday night when Celebrini and Smith made their debuts, and then of course they backed it up, especially Macklin with a goal and an assist. And too bad they didn't hang on for the win, but still, so many good things happened, and just the feeling in the building that we haven't felt for so long, and it brought back those memories. Really, going back to 2019 when they made that run to the conference final, ended up losing to St. Louis and the big win over Vegas and so on. But it was just so nice to feel a buzz in the building again and seeing young kids who maybe were at a Sharks game for the first time and them experiencing that as well. So it just was an all around feel good night. A little bit of a buzzkill in overtime, but
Yeah.
those things happen, and it's these games are for real now. They count, and St. Louis is a legitimate team, so not totally shocked that they came from behind because they had actually done that in their first game in Seattle a
Yeah.
couple of nights prior. So no stunner there, but the good definitely outweighed the bad in game one. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's I kind of like it's you don't want to have a good loss, but it's definitely like you said, it was a feel good moment. You could definitely feel the vibes coming on, and it's something that the kids and the whole team will learn down the road for sure. And I look forward to, if this is game one, I can't wait to see how this team progresses down the road there. So, um, for you, I mean, the buzz not just outside the building, but for you, you guys are a whole lot of stuff going on with the broadcast this season. Brett's off to Anaheim. We'll miss him. I almost feel like he was about to hop over the boards and be like, why does he have skates on while he's broadcasting? But you and Drew are back together. I think there's new graphics, new pre and post game host, all kinds of newness going around the Sharks this season.
Yeah, there is. And, first and foremost, I want to say what a pleasure it was to be able to work with Brett when he made the transition from initially working with Dan Ruzanowski on the Sharks radio, now audio network, and then gradually moving into a role where he shared the TV chair with Drew for all of last year. But, for those of us in the inner circle here, I think we all sensed at a point some time ago that Brett was going to make this transition. He really having won a Stanley Cup, played over 1,000 games, still has so much of that competitive spirit, that drive within him, which manifested itself in his business ventures he has going on outside of hockey and things like that. But it just wasn't enough. You could always sense that he wanted to be able to impact the outcome of games, not just talk about the outcome of games. And the only way you can do that as a retired player is to get into that either coaching / player development role, which he's in now, or move into upper management. And I think he's exactly where he needs to be at this point in his life, working in player development with Anaheim, and right now focusing on the San Diego Gulls, their AHL affiliate, and working with their defensemen. And they've got a good crop of blue liners in Anaheim, maybe the best in the NHL. They're stocked. They took full advantage of their years at the bottom and drafting high, and they piled up a lot of really talented players in their organization at that position. So much so that they were able to trade Jamie Drysdale. Gives you an idea.
Yeah.
So Brett gets his hands on some of these elite defensive talents for Anaheim, and is able to show what he can do in that role. So we're so happy for him, and we'll collide once in a while in our travels, no doubt. But we're just grateful for the time he was here. And then on the flip side, Drew comes back over to the TV side full time, and believe it or not, that's the first time in 10 years
Wow.
that we've been together full time. It was
Right.
it was a decade from when Drew took his hiatus and went back to Canada to work with the Edmonton Oilers for Sportsnet. But it's fun. We're reunited. We're a little the beards and the hair is a little grayer. Can't tell Drew with you can tell his beard. His beard is grayer. So we've been around a while. It's actually we were sitting around talking about this the other day. I don't think there's another team in the league that has three broadcasters from the inauguration of the franchise that have all been involved in some way or another. Drew initially as a coach, Dan, of course, the original voice of the Sharks, and then I did some games that first year. But really not until year 3 did all the TV games. But we've all been around in some capacity or another now, heading into year 34, and I don't think there's another team that has that. So it's unbelievable. And Drew leaving and coming back, he resurrected. The Undertaker rises from the dead and he comes back. So it's fun to be back and to be able to reminisce about the old days and to be reinvigorated and be re-energized by what's going on here now, because it really feels like the beginning of something exciting, hopefully special. It's a long and winding road to win in this league and to come back to respectability in this league. We haven't had to do it before in this way. So, you kind of take it day by day. These things never seem to be linear. You zigzag through them, and hopefully through the zigzagging, you're always heading toward, up, in that sense, getting better. And it might not be game by game, and it might not even be week by week, but hopefully at this point, by month, you can see progress and the franchise getting back to the way that we all were used to it for so long. I think we took it for granted during the Thornton era, and even before that. Oh yeah, we're going to be in the playoffs. Will we win the cup? It's nice to be able to take that for granted, and now we realize how blessed we were for so long.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. You're fortunate to have what we had for so long. We had to go through this, eventually. I mean, to do it in the 30 years of the franchise is fortunate for everything to almost gone our way with the success of the team that's been around for so long for us. Um, you, you look at the stockpile, and I know we mentioned in Anaheim there, but you look at what San Jose has brought in just a few years' time, and not even the kids that are with the CUDA, like in the sense of Casper Haltonen or Luca Cagnoni, but you also look at the prospects that you got going on here, like Sam Dickinson's in London, Quentin Musty, among others, and it's nice to see like the grassroots kind of come up with this team in the few years. I mean, we're only seeing a little bit here with Celebrini and Smith, among others, in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I think Mike Greer's done a nice job to, at least for me, it feels like accelerate this process.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I was hopeful that it would the player prospect pool would be this um, deep, this rich, this soon. And of course, you have to mute that enthusiasm with the reality that a lot of these players have not played in an NHL game yet, and a couple of them, like Celebrini and Smith, have barely dipped their toe into the water as NHL players. So you have to wait for that. But yeah, you're right. There's a prospect pool that is extremely promising. We've seen it up close in rookie showcase tournaments and in preseason, and it's nice to have the luxury of being able to say, Luca Cagnoni hasn't made this team yet, so he needs more seasoning in the American Hockey League. And Quentin Musty and Sam Dickinson are better served spending more time in junior hockey to get themselves where they need to be to not just compete for a job, but have a good opportunity to make this team. So I think they're handling it well. No surprise that Celebrini and Smith made this team. I mean, if they didn't, then we should have been Stanley Cup favorites because we needed a huge influx in offensive talent, and those two provide that. But I think as we've seen with these two able to provide offense and some other good young offensive players like William Eklund and Fabian Zetterlund, to name just a couple, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Mike Greer can build the back end, because really the only drafted, developed defenseman that we have right now is Mario Ferraro at the NHL level. And you need those players. They've got to be there. And, Vlasic would be the other one, but not in the lineup right now. So is it Cagnoni? Will it be Dickinson? You hope so. And you need more. And they need to keep feeding that pipeline like they've done in Anaheim with building that blue line out, because it's really the key to success, having that solid, for sure, one D man back there who's a stopper, a big stud that shuts plays where plays go to die, and then obviously another one that can run a top power play and compete at that level there. So not to say that we don't have those players already. That you never know, they might already exist, but I would really expect the Sharks to try to really build that core of defensemen up here in the next several years via the draft, to try and introduce more talent at that position, and also look for offensive players too. But I think the focus going forward, especially if Askarov turns out to be the answer in net, which we'll probably find out to some degree this year, he'll play his share of NHL games, certainly. Then building that blue line up, that defensive core, is really going to be a focus, and fun to watch how they go about doing that too.
Yeah, it's we're on the cusp, and you could feel the energy. We felt it last night in the game, but I can't wait for it to happen, and it'll have your voice to it. So I mean, I was I was bummed that you weren't on last night, but I look forward to Saturday night against Anaheim and then the rest of the way throughout. So, Randy, appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for this, and I'll see you at the tank.
Always my pleasure, Erik. Go Sharks.
Go Sharks.